Hi, it's Lexi with Code+Confetti, and today I'm going to show you how to install and edit the Zaza theme. So you can see here I have logged into the back end of my new WordPress website, and the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to Appearance over here in the sidebar and click on Themes. Now we're going to click Add New at the top, and over here in the search bar we are going to search for Kadence. And this is the one we want. We're going to click on Install. Now we are not going to activate this yet. The next thing we'll do is we'll go to Plugins and we'll hover over Add New. Click on that. And then in the search, let's find Kadence Starter Templates. Okay, here it is. Starter Templates by Kadence WP. We're going to click Install Now. And once that's installed, we'll click on Activate. Perfect. So now we will go back to Appearance and Themes, and this time we're going to actually upload your zip theme file. So at the top, click Add New, and we are going to click Upload Theme, and then choose your file, and you'll just navigate to where you have your zaza-theme.zip. Mine is in my downloads. We'll click Open and then click Install Now. Perfect. And then we will click Activate on this theme. Okay, so you can see our nice little thumbnail there. That is our active theme. We're not quite done yet though. We have another step. Now you're going to see over here in the sidebar under Appearance, we have Kadence Starter Templates. So click there. And you're going to choose Code+Confetti as your builder. And there's our Zaza theme. Click on that. And we are going to leave the default settings. So it's going to install all the required plugins, and it's going to import all of our content and customizer settings. So click Start Importing. All right, and after that completes, you are finished. So click on Finished, view your site, and that'll let us look at our front end. And now you can see that your site looks exactly like the theme with all of the demo content, with the exception of every time you install a new WordPress, it makes a Hello World blog post. So we have a little extra blog post, but that's okay. We can get rid of that. And you can just look through and everything should look perfect. Okay, now that we have finished installing the Zaza theme, we are going to go back to our dashboard. So in this WordPress menu bar at the top, you can hover over My WordPress and click on Dashboard, and that'll take us to our back end of our website. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to save our permalinks. This is just a WordPress best practice. So hover over Settings and we'll click on Permalinks. And you don't actually have to change the structure unless you wanted to. We're just going to scroll down and click on Save Changes. All right, and it's as easy as that. That is just a WordPress best practice to prevent any 404 errors on your website. Okay, so we have installed the Zaza theme, we have refreshed our permalinks, and now we are going to get into actually customizing our theme. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the customizer menu in Kadence, and to get there, we're going to go to Appearance and Customize. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to change our logo. So to get there, you can either go into Header and you can select Logo, or you can just hover over the page and you'll see this little pencil icon come up and we can click Edit. And that'll take us to where we can change our logo. So you'll click Change Logo and then you will upload your own logo to the media library and select that file. And just for reference, here's my logo right here. So if you want to make yours similar dimensions, you can see them right over here, 564 by 226 pixels. But it doesn't have to be that size. You can kind of make it whatever you want. And once you have selected your logo, I'm going to skip cropping for mine. You can also change the logo max width. So we have ours set to 140 pixels on a desktop. I can also change it if I want it to be a different size on tablet. I could just type that in right here. So maybe we'll put 130 pixels. So you saw that shrink a little bit. And we can also change it on our mobile breakpoint. So if we wanted it to be even smaller, maybe 100 pixels on mobile, that's where we would do that. We can scroll down and we'll see site title, and by default it is My WordPress. So you're going to want to back out of this and you're going to want to change it to the name of your blog or business or website. So I'll call mine Zaza. And then you don't have to, but you can add a tagline. That's a good idea for search engine optimization purposes. So I'm just going to click one of these ones that I type all the time, a feminine WordPress theme. Okay, and then right here, site icon, this is our favicon. Select site icon, and I'm going to use this one right here. Usually you want one that's at least 512 by 512 pixels. Mine's a little bit small, but that's okay. It'll work for this purpose. And then when you're done adding that, you'll just click publish. And you can't see mine, but I'm going to try to drag this down. So when I open my website and preview it in a new tab, you'll see that I have my custom favicon here. Okay, so we have just finished adding our logo, site title, our tagline, our custom favicon, and now we are going to talk about how to edit your color palette. So Kadence in the customizer menu has a global color palette. We'll click right here into colors and fonts and then into colors. All right, so right here at the top is my global palette, and we have palette 1 selected. You can actually have multiple palettes if you want to. We just need the one, and you can see I have all of my purple and kind of black hues in here. I also have some browns, which I didn't end up using in the theme, but they're in there. And all I have to do is click on one of these colors, and then I can enter my custom hex codes that match, you know, my brand, or you'll enter yours that match your brand, or you can drag and drop and just find colors in the color picker that you like. If you do start to change these colors, I'm going to copy this hex code real quick, because when you start to change them, you can't really easily undo it. So that's just for reference, but maybe I want everything that was that purple color to be kind of this hot pink, and you can see how that updated in real time. So I'm going to put the other color back how it was, and that is where you will update your colors. So as you scroll down in the colors, we have a site background color we can change, content background color we can change. Right now, I have mine set to white. So if you want to add your custom color there, you can do that. We have different options here. We have our link colors. So I have them set to black by default. And then when you hover, they're this purple color. And every time you click on one of these little icons to change, your global color palette comes up. So it's really easy to select your custom colors and create a site that's really cohesive. All right, so once you're done editing your colors, just make sure that you press publish at the top, and that way your changes will be saved. Okay, so we have finished editing our colors, and now we're going to talk about editing our button styles. So over here in the customizer menu, we're just going back one step, and then we're going to click into buttons. All right, so here on my page, this is a button that's being just controlled with these global styles. So first we have our text colors. I have the initial color and the hover color set to white. So that's what you see here. The text is white. When I hover, it's still white. If I wanted it to be black, I can click in there and change it. Now when I hover, it's black. So I'll put that back. Background colors. Maybe I want this to be a different color when I hover, change it to brown. So now instead of purple, it's brown, but it does have that purple border on it. So here's my border, switch that to black so you can just see the changes. Okay, so feel free to set these to your custom colors in the theme editor. Now I got to set mine back and I can't remember what they were. Okay. There we go. You can also change the width of your border here. You can make the buttons round by dragging up the border radius. I have mine squared off. Here you can change your button font. So these are all the Google fonts here. You can choose whatever you want it to be, and you'll see these changes, of course, updating live. I'm going to leave mine on Oswald. You can select a font weight or style. Then you can go over here to size, and you can change the size of the text. Make it a little bit larger, a little bit smaller. You can adjust the line height. You can adjust the space between the letters. You can make it all caps, just a capitalized letter on the first word, or all lowercase, or just turn off transform, text transform altogether. And then of course we do have these different screen size settings. So if you wanted the buttons to be a different font size at a tablet, you could do that, or on mobile, you could do that there. And then when you're done playing around with all of these settings that you have, just make sure that you press publish to save your changes. Okay, one thing I do want to mention about the buttons, I have this button right here that is being controlled. The styles of it are being controlled by these global button settings. But then you'll notice right here, I have these buttons and they look completely different. The way I got these buttons to look different is that I overrode those global button styles by editing these buttons on that actual home page. So when we get to editing pages, you'll see how you can change things around and you can override global settings. There are button settings we can edit there. So we'll get there later on. Okay, now that we're done editing the buttons, we are going to go back again. And now we're going to talk about fonts. So go ahead and click into typography in the customizer menu. And you can see I have a base font selected up here, and it is Poppins. It's set to the 300 weight, and it's 15 pixels. So that is this right here. And I will change it just so that you can see that update in real time. Okay. And you can also change the color right there. So that's my base font. Again, you have all the free Google fonts already in here. So if you're using Google Fonts, you're golden. For headings, I have used Oswald on this theme. And then I just select Oswald right here. Or you can select a Google font, and then it will just inherit for each different headings font size from H1 all the way down to H6. However, if you wanted to make your H1 a certain font, your H2 something different, and so on, you can do that here. You can also change, of course, the font weight, the font size, the letter spacing, and you can also change those at different screen sizes. So that is how you can start to edit your fonts. I like to keep things as cohesive as possible. There are some other settings in here. We are not using these in this theme, but as you play around with your theme and you might kind of get in the weeds a little bit and start making different changes to your website, just always come back to this customizer menu because there are so many settings here that control different parts of how your website looks. Okay, so now we have talked about our fonts, and we are going to move on to editing our header, and then we'll talk about the footer as well. So I'm still in my appearance customize menu. I'm going back out of colors and fonts altogether, and we're going to go into header. So we have looked at this a tiny bit when we went ahead and updated our logo. So you can see this little widget area menu appeared at the bottom of our screen. So we have different areas within our header. We have 3 rows of header that we can use. And as I hover over them, I can click the plus icon and I can add different things here. So right now I'm in my top row, which is this row right here. I have an HTML widget in here. That's just this text, and I've made it into a link so that you can download the free guide or whatever thing you want to put here. Then over here I have social widget, and when I click on this, here are all of the social icons that I'm using up here. And this is where I can add additional social icons, or I can remove some. So maybe I want to add an RSS feed up here, and then I can click down here, and there's a couple of different icon options. Not all of them have multiple, but many of them do. You can also upload your own image. If you have a totally custom icon that you need to create, you can do that here as well. And then if you want to get rid of it, you just click remove item. This right here is pretty important. This is where you actually set social links. So I would click in here, and I just have the hashtag so that these will be clickable. But you would obviously, whatever social links you're using in the widget areas, you want to update with your personal URL. Okay, so I'm going to go back out of social links, and you can see how it gets in the weeds as you start clicking around, but I'm just going to go back, and then we're going to go back into header again because that's what we're really talking about. So we're in this top row right here. We also have a search bar right here. So I can click on this, and it will open some different options for me. I could put a label here if I wanted to write search. I'm just going to leave the little icon. You have two different options here. Then you can click on the Design tab, and this is where you can change the colors of things. We can select the bordered option or no border. We can change the icon size. It's black, and when you hover, it turns white. You can update your colors there. Just feel free to play around with these things, or just change maybe only the settings that I have if you don't want to get too confused. You can do the same thing. There's also a design tab in the social icons. So when I click on those, you see there's the general tab where I can add or remove icons. Here's the design tab, and you can see, okay, I have them set initially to white, and then when I hover, they turn purple. And I have the black and black background on them. So customize to your heart's content. You can add things here. Like if I wanted to, I can add a button right in the smack dab center. And you can see that's inheriting those global button styles as well by default. Obviously, I don't want that there, so I'm just going to exit out of it. If you remove everything out of this top row because you don't want it, it will make the whole top row go away altogether. To change the background color of that very top row, hover over here, and there's that little tiny gear icon on top row, and then you can click here to change the background color. So we could make it whatever you want. Okay, so here in my main row, we already know we have the logo. If I click on there, we can go back to our logo again. It pulled up the design tab, but general, that's where we were before. Then we have our primary navigation. So this, you can go ahead and edit your menu from here. And the way we do that is we're in the general tab, we can select our menu, and then we can go to primary menu and main menu. But I will show you another place in just a moment where you can edit your menu, and I personally think it's a little bit easier. But you could click on edit menu right here, and you can change the position of these things, and you'll see those changes happening in real time. And then also you're probably gonna want to update your categories and stuff, but we will look in the back end of WordPress to see also how to change our menu, and it might be a way that you're a little bit more familiar with. Okay, so we are here in the back end of our WordPress website, and I'm just going to show you the other place where you can edit your menu. That might be what you're more used to. Hover over Appearance and then go to Menus. And this is doing all the same things we were doing in the customizer. It just might be more the way that you're used to doing it. So if this is how you prefer to do it, we have our main menu. You can create additional menus by clicking right here, and then you can add those menus to different widget areas if you wanted to. But also here are pages we can add. We can click View All, and I can start adding in pages. I already have all the pages in our menu here. You can link to actual blog posts if you wanted to. You can add your own custom links, and then you can also add categories. So when you do change your categories for your personal website, you're probably going to want to come back in here, and you're going to want to re-add those under the blog section if you want to link to categories. Otherwise, you could just remove these all together. And to remove one, you just click down and then click on Remove right here. And then if we want to add it back, we can click on it over here, Add to Menu, and I'll just drag it back and nest it right under Blog. And then always click Save Menu to save your changes when you're done. Okay, I know I said we were done editing the header, but there was one more thing that I wanted to mention before I move on from this point. Down here where we have our rows, you can see we have the desktop tab, and then we have the tablet and mobile tab. So this is where you control how the mobile menu works. There's the logo in the main row. There is our trigger. And then when I click on the trigger, I have this off canvas area, and I have my mobile navigation, which is this. I have my social, which are these, and then I have my button right here. So that's how this is set up. If I wanted to reorder these things, I can just drag them to change, and then click on the gear icon if I want to edit any of this stuff. So here's like the button settings over here. We can change it to an outline button if we wanted to. You can make it large. I'll put it back to filled so you can see what I'm doing, but I have it set to medium. You can change the URL, so you can change your link right there. You can make it anything that you want to. There's even settings of button visibility. Is it only for logged in or logged out users? This is a little bit advanced. It's beyond the scope of what we're doing here today, but I do want you to just know that Kadence is a very powerful theme, and there's so much that you can do with it. So I do always encourage you to go explore Kadence, and I do have some links in the documentation for the Zaza theme to more information about Kadence, documentation, more about different blocks and how to edit it. And then I also have an affiliate link that you can upgrade to Kadence Pro, which unlocks even more features for you. Okay, so we have just talked about how to edit our header area, and we are going to now talk about how to edit the footer. So I'm just going to go back until I get back to this kind of landing customizer spot, and we're going to click into footer. And I'm going to go ahead and scroll down the page so that we can take a look at our footer. The footer is going to be very similar to editing our header. So we have 3 different rows, a top, middle, and bottom row that we can add content to. You can see I have nothing in the top row, so it doesn't even show up at all. But you could add stuff in here if you want to. So you could add a footer navigation, you could add more social links. I'll just add in widget 5 right here so we can take a look at that really quickly. Nothing appeared because there's nothing in widget 5, but it did open over here these different widget areas. And when I go into widget 5, I can add a block. So we are going to get more into how to add and edit content with Kadence blocks when we talk about pages, but we'll get a little taste here. So maybe I just want to add in some text. And I'll add it there, and now you can see it appears in my footer. And I can change it to maybe an H4, and if I click these 3 dots, I can click on Show More Settings, and I can open up all sorts of options for how I can edit and customize this. So I can make it brown, I can give a background color to it. Beautiful. I can change the font size here. They have some default font size options, but if I click on, I don't know what you would call this icon, but it's the custom icon, so I can change the font size manually if I want to. And then if I click off of that, I can just go back to these. I can change the line height, the letter case, make it all caps there. Advanced typography settings. So if I want to change this to a completely different font, we can do that. We can even add border settings, text shadow icon. We can add an icon next to this text. There's all sorts of options here that you can do. So if you want to leave this here, just make sure that when you're done editing, you do click on publish to save the changes. I don't even want to have this widget here, so I'm just going to click on X, and now it's gone. All right, so here in the middle row, I have widget 1, and inside of widget 1, I just have this image. So I can click on it from here, and then you'll see that this is just an image, and you can replace this. You can upload something or choose something different from the media library and see how that updates, and looks totally ridiculous because it's not really the right size, but you get the idea. You can click on these back arrows to undo your changes. Right here in widget 2, we have an H6. Now, by default in the Zaza theme, all H6s are going to be this cursive script font called Collection, and that's kind of hard-coded into this theme. And then I have another advanced text widget, and this just has a list, and these are just set to be links. So I just created my own little menu basically here with a text widget, and then I have just added a button right below there. Same thing in widget 3, we just have more text widgets, and then in this widget 4 here, we have a little sort of like an Instagram feed, but this is not a live Instagram feed, it's just a gallery block. So you can click the pencil over here, and then you can edit the gallery. So you can remove content, you can add to the gallery, we can choose more things out of our library, or you can upload files to add here. And we will also talk about how to replace this with a live Instagram feed using the Smashballoon plugin if that's something that you want to do. And then finally, we do have our bottom row. And if I click this pencil icon, you can see I have it set to 1 column, but you can change that. You can make it full width, contained. There's spacing settings here, padding settings. If you go into the design tab, that's where the actual background color is, that I have it set to that dark charcoal, almost black. So if you wanted to make it brown, that's how it would look. And then of course I do have the little copyright here, which this is going to update automatically. So definitely use copyright and year, leave copyright and year just as they are, and then you can change this to be your content. If you want to leave the little Code+Confetti link there, then I would totally appreciate that. And otherwise, you can just edit this to be whatever you want it to be. So that is how you can customize your footer in the Zaza theme. Okay, so we've just finished talking about a lot of customizations. We ended with editing our footer, and now we're going to get into kind of the meat of this, and we are going to talk about how to edit your page content. So we're going to be looking at the home page and walking through that step by step and seeing how we can customize it. So I am just going to open our website in a new tab and just remind you, this is the home page. This is what we are going to be editing. All right, so we are in the back end of our WordPress website, and in the sidebar, we are going to hover over pages, all pages, and here's all of the pages that are designed, and we are going to click into home. So a couple of things that you will notice here. The back end, when you're editing the page, does look slightly different than the front end. So don't let it confuse you too much. And as you open up different panels, it kind of shrinks and it can get a little bit confusing. So one way to always look at your changes as you're making them is you can click on this little laptop icon, which is the preview, and you can click preview in a new tab. And this way you can view your changes as you go before you update the page. Another thing I want you to notice is that this H6, it does not appear in the back end as the script font, but on the front end it does. So don't let that throw you off too much. So obviously we've already started clicking around, and you're seeing that it's just pretty easy to go in and start editing stuff. So I can just go in here and I can start clicking, and I can just edit copy. So one thing that I want you to get familiar with is these 3 little parallel bars up here, the document overview. When you click on that, it's really helpful to look at the way the page is structured in this little side panel. So we have a row here, and we're kind of looking at our very first section. We call that the hero section. And as you click down on row layout, you're going to see we have the section. That would be our 2 columns. So this is the left column, and then when I click here, I'm in the right column. And as I expand those sections, in this first column, we have this advanced image block. And then over in this one, we have some text blocks, basically, and then we have a button block. So what is a block? Blocks are how you build your page, and we're using Kadence blocks. So how I look at blocks and what even my options are for adding content is I click on this blue plus sign at the top, and then you're going to see Kadence blocks right up here, and all of the Kadence blocks are blue. So this is everything that comes with the free version of Kadence for you to start building your website with. And let's just click. Another way we can add something is we can click the plus sign down here in our column, and that will open up more options. It'll open up the most recently used blocks right here, and then you can also search for things, or you can click on browse all, and again, that's going to open all of your options. So let's just add this count up widget right below there. And then not only did I just add this widget, but over here we have settings for this block. So I have a general tab, a style tab, and an advanced tab. the starting number, we can change it to 80, and we can put our ending number at 300, and we can add a prefix. I don't know, we'll just put hours right here. And we can add a suffix onto there. We can change the animation duration. We can add decimals, commas. We can go to the Style tab, and we can start toggling things on and off so we understand what we're looking at. So apparently we can add courses sold. We'll just put that right there. That's our title. We can change our title color to be this dark purple. We can align it right. And there's just all sorts of things that we can change about this block. So that's just an example of everything that Kadence can do for you. Every single one of these blocks that the page is built with, it has these settings over here for you to make custom changes. So I want to get rid of this, so I'm going to click on these three dots and scroll down and just click delete. So let's just look at column 1, because we do have the advanced image gallery over here, which is the photo of the girl, but we also have a background going on. So I'm going to open this up because it's much easier to click on this way. If I go to my row layout, this is what's actually controlling those background images that are changing. So that opened up the row layout settings, and we have the 2 columns, which we already know. If I click on the Style tab, here's the background settings. So I have the background type as slider, and I have 3 sliders, and then I have slide 1, 2, and 3, and this is where I have those images. So if I click in here, I can upload my own image, or I can select one from the media library to use as the background image. Obviously that one's not the correct format and it doesn't look good, so we wouldn't use that, but that's just how you can go ahead and change these things. I'm going to put it back on this one, which is what it was. If you only want to have 2, you can change it to 2. And then I want to show you also how we have a background overlay. So this is also controlling like the speed that these images change. They're fading instead of sliding. So that's maybe beyond what you need to know, but I just want you to know that customization options are here for you to play around with, but just be careful. If you don't want to end up just screwing things up too badly, just stick to the basics and just click in here and edit the images. As I scroll down, we have the background overlay settings. So the way that we have this background having the sliding images kind of on the left, and then this side is white, is because we have a gradient overlay. So you can't see it because it's set to white, but I have a gradient on here, and then if I click on this, I have 50% of it is transparent and the other 50% of it is white. So if I change that, now I have a purple background, a half purple background. So let's just click on our little laptop preview guy up here and click preview in new tab. And then you can see this is what it would look like if I were to change this from white to purple. So I will click there and we will set this back to white. All right, so over here I have just an advanced text block. So you can edit this right here. This is where you can choose your different headings. So if you don't want it to be an H6, maybe you want it to be an H5. Let's preview in a new tab, and that's how that would look. Let's just go ahead. These are pretty straightforward, but let's click on this button, and I just want to show you how over here in the button settings, I have button inherit styles, and I've selected theme. And that means that I'm using those global button styles for this button, the ones that we set up earlier. I can override these styles, so it will automatically make it the medium size and the button width will be auto. But if I want to override those things, I just start clicking and changing, and it's only going to affect this one button. It won't affect the rest. In the Style tab, I can change the color, the background color of my button. So if I want this one to be purple and have a light brown background, and then I can click on the hover tab and I can change the color hover to dark purple, And we'll change this one to the dark brown. Oh wow, isn't it so beautiful? So I don't actually want these. I'm just gonna click on the little like undo button here. I'm gonna go back to my normal tab and also do the same. I'm just gonna leave that on the general tab theme, okay? Let's click into this section in advanced image. I can change this image. So click on replace and we can upload an image or we can select one from our media library. Choose that just so we can see it. Okay, so that's how you would change an image. If you want to undo something, you do have this handy undo and redo button at the top. All right, so as we scroll down, remember these are H6s, but they don't look like the script font on the back end. So we can edit these. This is just another row layout. I'm going to try to not confuse you. So I'm collapsing that first row we were in. This is another row layout. It has 3 columns. I can literally click and drag to make these columns different sizes. And I can also have them, I can choose different layouts over here so we can leave them all equal. We can make them like that, however you want to do it. But you don't have to go into all of this. You can just edit this to be your content. If you want to get rid of a row altogether, say you don't even want this section, just click over here on this row, click on the 3 dots, and you can delete it. All right. If that's a mistake and you want to bring it back, click undo. All right. In our next row, we have this button. So feel free to add or edit that. When I click on this row, I also just want to mention again, we can add more stuff into here. So we can add another button. If I click in this section, I can add something totally different. Let's add a Google map. All right, and then over here, I can put Times Square. It got me, even though I cannot type properly right now. So here's how you can just start to add and edit your own content, okay? I don't actually want that, and I don't actually want this other button either, so I'm just gonna remove that. Okay, this row layout has this background image in it. Okay, it's not a background image, it's just a regular image in this section. So that's how you can click in and you can change this image to be something different. So that's how it would look if I changed it to my Code and Confetti logo. Okay, and this is a great example of how things can get squished and a little bit confusing. So in this next row, this one, in my left column, we have the blog right here, but it's a little squished down. So when I collapse that panel, you can see the whole thing written out, but I just don't want you to get confused. So if ever things are looking really wonky, don't forget to click on your little laptop icon, preview the site in a new tab to view your changes and what they really look like on the front end. Just like we had in the header and footer in the customizer when we were talking about how to edit the header and the footer, we can also change things at different screen sizes. So right here on this H6 that I've selected, you can see the font size. We have the desktop version selected. If I wanted it to get smaller on tablet or mobile, you just click on those icons and you change the settings. All right, this is another great example, of course, of the buttons. So I'm going to open back up the side panel view again. I have my advanced buttons block in here, and I've added, these are just the categories on our website for our blog. And in this button, I have it set to the theme default, but then in the style tab, I've changed the background color and the border color so that it is just an outline button. And the hover is actually the same as my standard button. It's still just purple. So that's how you can override button settings. The actual button to change the link of this is in the general tab, and I have category/beauty. Just click on that little icon. You can type your own thing. You can start adding things, or you can start typing. So I know I have a services page. If I wanted to add that, I could click it, and there we go. I'm gonna click undo, and yes, it changed it back. Perfect. Okay, so we've kind of talked about this row. This row also has, let's see, not this column, but the second column right here. It has a post block in there. So this is what is pulling up my two most recent blog posts. If you want more control over which posts stay here, maybe you don't want them to update, you want them to stay the same all the time, something you could do is you could add a category to your post that's called featured, and then you could just select only, you could filter it by category. So I would just choose like the featured category here, or maybe I only want to ever show fashion here, then I can select fashion. Okay, so there's different ways to filter out these posts, and then you do have some options for like the different size of the title and the way that the image looks. We have it set to the 3:2 ratio, but if you wanted them to be squares, there you could do that. And we have some category settings here. It's showing the categories above the title. You could toggle that off if you don't want to show them. And then most of the advanced settings, they also change. We haven't really looked at an advanced tab yet, but you could enable meta info. So that's going to show like the author and the date. I don't want to edit that. You can also add the excerpt. So we have a little excerpt of the blog post, which is just the first 10 words of the post, but you could disable that if you don't want to show the excerpt at all. And then you can change what this read more button says. So maybe we'll change it to view post. Okay. And by default, it's just going to be read more. So that is this section. Also, just clicking on the whole row layout. I know we saw this in the top, but when I have this whole row selected and I go to style, here's where I have my background color set. Okay. So if you want to change the color, feel free to do that. And then like we'd probably want to update these buttons. So you'd click in here and we go to style and we'd make the background, instead of it being black, we'd make it match the background. So now it looks like an outline button again. Okay. And I'm just going to undo and undo again till I get back to black. There we go. All right. So we're scrolling down to our next section here and collapse that row. Now we're in this row. We just have 3-column layout yet again. We have an advanced gallery, and this gallery is automatically, it's auto playing. So when I edit the gallery, these are the 2 photos that I have selected here. We can add to the gallery. Put this one in here too. Update. Now we have 3 different photos. I have the dots turned off in the back end, but we'll go to the front end. And you'll see this section auto plays, and now our 3rd image is showing up. Okay, so this is just a regular button, and I have added an icon to it. So it has like a little podcast icon here. You would just go into the Style tab, and you could click on Icon Settings, and this is where you can choose some different icons. So there's lots of things for you to search for. You can also search for certain things like Instagram. I think we have an actual Spotify. So I could put the Spotify there, and I think that's Apple Podcasts, isn't it? I don't actually use Apple Podcasts. I use Spotify. So Apple, I don't know. Podcast, is that what it is? Yep. There we go. Podcast icon. I can change the size of the icon, the color, all of that kind of stuff in here. So now we're going to scroll down and we're going to talk about this marquee section. So this is a section that when you look at it on the front end, you're like, wow, it scrolls. And then when you're in the back end, you're like, what the heck is going on here? So you do need to copy and paste whatever you want it to say. If it's something that's not very long, copy and paste it quite a few times so that you get kind of the long scroll effect here. But this is something that is coded into this theme. And when we click over here in the Advanced tab, under here you see we have an additional CSS class, marquee-content. But just know that this class name is some custom CSS that we have on the theme, and it is what is powering the actual marquee effect. So you just update this with your own copy and make sure you kind of make it a long one. All right, so we also have this little button right here that's in this section. That's what it looks like on the front end. And we've just pretended that we created a course we're selling. And so just don't forget that that little button is there for you to update as well. Okay, this is a section that I'm a huge fan of. I love that Kadence gives you this ability. So in this row, we have Shop My Picks. You can put your own affiliate links in here. So as we expand this row, we have 2 columns again. We just have some text over here. And then in the second column, we have an advanced gallery. So let's see. In the general tab, I'm going to scroll down and you see this option right here, link settings. And we have it set link to custom. So now when I click on one of these images, I can go ahead and type in a URL here that is my affiliate link. So I think that's something really awesome. You don't need any special widgets. This advanced gallery block is just something that comes standard with Kadence, and we can create this awesome slider, and we can add a affiliate link, and we can have it open in a new tab. It's hard to see because it's black on black right now, but you can do that here, and we can rearrange these. We can, of course, edit this gallery, and we can remove things or add to this gallery, put as much content here as you want. If you're not someone who uses affiliate links, something you could do here instead would be maybe add a live Instagram feed, and we will talk about that in the next video and how you can use the Smashballoon plugin, and we'll replace this particular area so you can see how that would work. Okay, so we are almost to the bottom of the page. So this is the very last row here, and this is the contact row. You can see this contact right here. This is indicating that there is an anchor link on this row. It has an ID. So when I go to advanced over here, I have an HTML anchor. Now it's contact. The way that this is working is that when I click on work with me, it is going to take me down to this contact area. And this is an anchor link. And to get to the anchor link, all you have to do is put that hashtag contact right there, contact. You use hashtag contact as your actual link. Most people know how an anchor link works, but just want to cover that. And of course, you would have to edit that in the menu if you wanted to remove that. But anytime you're on like a different page of the website and you click on work with me, it's going to take you back to that home page and scroll automatically down to this contact section. Okay, so also I'll quickly point out we have the padding. So we're in this bottom row on our home page, and you can see as I'm in this row and I hover, this green highlight comes up and it says 130 pixels. That's just controlling the padding of this section. So I can drag it up and down to increase or decrease. And then I also can change it over here. So I could put 40 pixels, and you see that happening in real time. So I'm going to undo that to just put it back to what it was before, and hopped around a little bit there, but you see the idea. And then I'll also point out that as we shrink the screen, we have the padding getting smaller. So this is a good example of how you can change things responsively so that they look good. Now remember, this is all designed and set up for you, so you don't have to get into the weeds with all of this stuff. You can just click here, and now I'm in this second column and I need to change the background image. So I'm going to change it to this one instead, and that's how my page is going to look now. But if you want to, you have so many options in Kadence of things that you can do. Let's just quickly touch on this contact theme. So this contact theme, the contact form. So we do have a contact form button. I'm going to open this up again, my list view, and expand this section. And here, this is a form block. So in the form block, you can see over here we have all of these settings in the general tab. So the name settings, this is a text field. We can change whether or not it's required. And then you can see the little asterisk appear right there. We can put a placeholder in there. So there's my placeholder. And then we've got the column width setup. You do not have to change these things if you don't want to. This is the email settings, works pretty much the same way as the name settings did. It can get a little confusing when you expand all these, so try to just close them up when you're done. The message settings, so we have those 3 fields, name, email, message. We can add an additional field to this form if we wanted to, okay? So then we have field 4, and maybe we're gonna make this a checkbox. And we'll make it required, and we'll add an option. Option 1 and option 2. All right, you can show them in line so that they're side by side, or you don't have to. So you can customize this form to your needs. Okay, so we've pretty much covered how you're going to start editing the content on this page, and we've also talked about Kadence blocks and how to start adding different content. Maybe I want to create a whole different row. I can come down here and I can click on the plus sign and I can click browse all, and then I can start adding all of these different blocks to my website and really customizing what I have here, building whole new sections and layouts. Otherwise, feel free to just click into the different blocks and just edit the content that is already existing. Okay, so we just finished walking through how to edit the homepage. I know it was a lot of information, but hopefully you'll take some time to get really familiar with Kadence blocks and all of the options that you have, and you'll create something really awesome for your website. Next, we are going to talk, I mentioned this before, but we're just looking at the homepage real quick. We talked about this kind of affiliate link slider situation that we have going on. Well, if you don't use affiliate marketing, maybe this is a great place to put a live Instagram feed. We don't have one of those on this theme, but we can easily create one. And the way we're going to do that is adding a plugin. So I'm just going to go back to the back end of my WordPress website, and I'm going to go to plugins and click on add new. Now into the search bar over here on the right side, we're going to type in Smashballoon. Okay, they have many widgets. They also have a pro version, but the free version works great. This is what virtually every live Instagram feed you see on a WordPress website is built with. So we have the Smashballoon social feed, a social photo feed plugin, and we're going to click on Install Now. And then we're going to click on Activate. So what that's done is it's given me a new option over here in my sidebar, and it's kind of selected it by default. So you can just launch the setup wizard, and it's going to walk you through connecting your Instagram account. So I'm going to click on Add New. Make sure that you are already logged into the Instagram account that you want to connect when you start this process. So I'm going to allow this to look at my Code+Confetti Instagram. And yes, this is my domain. And now I'm being redirected back. I'm going to choose my account right here, and I'm going to click Next. Then I can configure some features. These ones are grayed out because I believe that they are premium features. I don't want to install this. I don't think I want to install any of this stuff. We can do that. And then these are pro features as well. Click Next. I do not want any of these things. This is basically trying to upsell me on some more plugins. I don't want any of that. We are just going to go on to, we didn't install any of them. So we're all set up. Connect an Instagram account, set up features, complete setup without upgrading. Okay, that looks a little different than the last time that I installed this plugin, so that's kind of new. I'm gonna now add a new feed. So I'm going to choose user timeline, click on next. I'm going to select my Instagram account, click on next. And Instagram doesn't provide us access to your profile picture or bio on personal accounts. So this is where it's not going to show your Instagram profile photo. I don't want mine to, I'm not going to use that feature at all, but if you want to have that show up on your website, you can go ahead and upload one, but I'm going to click no, maybe later. And now here's my feed and I can start customizing this. So here's what it's kind of looking like by default. This is a live preview of what it's going to look like on our website. Just a reminder, this is kind of what we're trying to replace. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go for something that's 5 columns. It's not going to be a slider. It's just going to be 5 different photos. So I just need 1 row, but 5 columns. So I don't want this header. So I'm going to click under sections, header, and I'm going to toggle off the header feature. Now I'm going to go back to customize and I'm going to go to feed layout, and I'm going to put the number of posts is going to be 5. It's going to be 5 everywhere. And then I'm going to have it be 5 columns on desktop. On tablet, it can also be 5. And let's just click on the little mobile icon so we can preview. But I think I'll probably set it, this is that section, so I'll just put it on 2 for now, but we'll see. And then I'm going to click on save, and then I'm going to click on this embed button, and I'm going to copy this short code, add it to a page. Home page, add, let's see. And this will open up my home page in a new theme, in a new tab. I'm going to exit out of that. I'm just going to scroll down to the section where I know that I want to add this. I'm going to click on my document overview, and bye-bye gallery, we're getting you out of there. Now I'm going to click in here to add a new block, and I think there's a shortcode one, yes. So this black one, whenever you're in the blocks, we already talked about all of the Kadence blocks are blue. But other blocks that are just Gutenberg, like default WordPress blocks, there we go, now they all opened, they're in the black. So the Kadence blocks, if they have a Kadence block option, I always use it because it has the most options in terms of styling and features. But if they don't, you can also use some of these default Gutenberg blocks. And we are going to use the shortcode block from Gutenberg, which I had, there it is, shortcode, okay? And that code that we just copied, we're going to paste it right here. And then let's preview this in a new tab. All right, so there. Now I have replaced this slider with a live Instagram feed. Okay, and one more thing I probably would do is I would want to turn these 2 buttons off. Just aesthetically, I don't like it there. So I'm going to go back to that feed, which is a little confusing. I still have all my tabs open. I'm going to click exit out of this, and let's view it in the desktop view. Let's go back, customize, and load more button. I'm going to disable, and follow button, I'm going to disable. You feel free to leave yours there. You can even change the colors of them. I'm going to click save on that. And now when I preview this in a new tab, I no longer have those buttons, and that's how I want it to look. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to click inspect, and I'm in Google Chrome, so your browser may handle differently, but I just wanted to see. Okay, so that's what it's going to look like on a mobile device. I have one empty space there, but I'm okay with that. What I could also do is go back here and change my feed layout so that the number of posts on mobile is 6, and save that. And then we may have to regenerate this preview, but I might be able to refresh. Okay, perfect. But anyway, that is how you could add a live Instagram feed to your website. Maybe you want to keep this slider here and instead you want to put your Instagram feed in the footer. You could also do that. And the way I would recommend doing it is you can have multiple feeds. So go back to all feeds in this plugin and let's add a new one, and we'll follow the same steps. and we're using Code+Confetti. I'm not going to add that profile image because I don't want to use it. Up here, I can rename this. So I'm just going to call this my footer feed. Okay, and I'm going to configure this one just to be for my footer. So if I want it to kind of mimic this style, I need to have 2 rows and 3 columns. And then I'm going to save this footer feed, and I'm going to click on embed, and I'm going to go ahead and copy this. And then I'm going to click on add to a widget. And let's see. Right now, so this is another way of accessing your widgets. We looked at where the widgets were when we were in our customizer and we were editing the header and footer, but you can also in your back end hover over appearance and go down to widgets, and you can edit all the widgets from here. And we'll come back to this when we talk about our sidebar that's on our blog. I don't know which one of these. Okay, it's in footer 4. It's in widget 4. So just like in the pages, I have the list view, which I'm going to open because it just can be so confusing. I'm just going to, you know what, I won't even delete it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click add after. Let me reopen widget 4. And I'm going to add our shortcode block again and paste that. And let's just click update. And then we are going to refresh the page. And now you can see instead of having, I didn't delete them, so I have both, but I'm mimicking the same exact thing, except now this is a live version of my Instagram feed. Okay, so we have just finished talking about how to add a live Instagram feed to your website. And while we were talking about that, we sort of touched on widgets. So let's go ahead and talk about how to edit widgets. And you've seen the widgets already when we were editing the header and footer, when we were talking about that Instagram feed. And they work pretty similarly to how the pages editing process works. So in the back end of our WordPress site, we're just going to go to appearance and then widgets. I'm also going to open up the front end of the site, and I'm going to go to the blog page so we can see one of these widget areas. So on our blog page, by default, we have this sidebar, and this is called sidebar 1, which is a widget area. You have a limited number of widget areas to work with, and basically you can just add more content, more blocks into these areas. So we're back in widgets, and when you first click on it, you're just going to see this sidebar 1 at the top, and as you scroll, you're going to see all of those widgets just a little bit zoomed in. And when I start clicking on them, you can see that these are just Kadence blocks, and I can replace the image with something else. I can click in here and start editing the text, and then also I can add widgets. So this is a good example. When you start clicking around, it can get really confusing, like where am I and what am I doing? So I always like to open up that list view so I can just get a good idea of what's actually going on. When I expand this top row and section, there's my image, there's my meet me text, there's my paragraph text. So I could click on these 3 dots after the paragraph, and let's just say I want to add another block in. I can add something after that, and when we click on this little plus sign, we can add something new. So let's just, for fun, add a button. Okay, so there's my button. I'm going to click over here and choose the theme style so that's already styled for me. And there's my button. Okay, and there it is in my list view. So if you don't want that, you can either undo it up here, or you can click on remove. Okay, get rid of that. The next row is this one with the purple background on it. So when I'm clicked on this row over here in my row settings, I can go to the style tab and I could change this to be a different color background if that's what I want. Right here, I just have an advanced gallery, so we can click to edit that. We can change the pictures, just like we talked about on the homepage with that custom link, like affiliate linking. You can do the same thing here. And then we also have in this row, we have another form. So we did talk about the form area on the homepage, but just remember you would also have to edit and adjust this form. So you'd need to change the settings here as well. And this form's a little bit different than our other one, but you'd want to set that up the whole way. Sidebar 2 we're not really using at all, but I will show you what happens. We can choose sidebar 1 or sidebar 2 for our blog page, and we'll look at that in just a minute. But that just has some default archives and category links in there. And when I click on these, you'll notice these are the little black blocks, because these are Gutenberg blocks, the WordPress default blocks, not Kadence blocks. Okay. One thing I do need to mention is I want to talk about these social links right here, because we talked about social links in our header and footer, but these ones are different. Kadence does not have a social icons block that works on pages or in widgets apart from the header and footer. So in this row, it's right in here, it's this social icons block, okay? And it is a WordPress Gutenberg block. And you can see over here in the block settings, we don't have a lot of options. So we just have some really basic generic stuff. Like I can change the way that they are aligned. I can make them vertical instead of horizontal. I can have the open links in new tab. We can show labels. It's kind of a cool look. There is an advanced tab, so you can add an anchor link or you can add an additional class. And then we can click on the styles tab over here, and we can have them be logos only. We can have them be pill shape. I'm going to leave them on default. You can choose the icon color and background color, and then you can change the padding, the dimensions. These features, this is why you want to use a Kadence block whenever possible, because the Gutenberg blocks, they're okay. They just don't have as many customization options. So one more thing, when we're on the social icons, we can click on this little plus sign and we can add more links. And when I added this Amazon link, you'll notice that it's kind of grayed out. And I'm going to click on update, and then we're going to refresh the page because I want you to see this. Here's my social icons. And I refreshed the page, but my Amazon one did not appear there. So the reason that happened is because I need to actually add the link. You have to click on the icon and you have to add a link in order for it to show up on the front end. So I'm just going to put the hashtag, which is just a dummy link, and apply that and then update it. And now when I refresh this on the front end, you can see that that link has been added. So this is how you can edit them. It works the same way as editing page content, but I do want to show you how, if you so chose, you could add widget sidebar 2 to your blog page. So let's go to our back end, and we're going to go to appearance, but we're going to click on customize. And I'm going to click on the blog up here so you can see the change in real time. And then over here, under Post Pages Layouts and Archive Layout, this is what's controlling the way that our blog page looks. So this is sidebar 1 over here, and as I scroll down, Post, Archive, Default Sidebar, I can either use 1 or I can use 2. And so that's what it would look like if I changed it to sidebar 2. Okay, so we are getting near to the end of how to customize our theme. We've been through most things. One feature that I did want to point out is this links page. So this is something that you'll probably end up removing from your menu because this is really meant to be used as like a link and profile page for social media profiles. So this is here at your disposal if you want it. On a desktop, it looks okay, but it's not really made for a desktop. This is made for social media, so I'm just going to shrink this down to kind of our mobile device size, and now you can build yourself a custom link and profile page, and you don't have to use a third party to do that. This page is a really simple setup. It's just an image block, a text block, and then advanced button blocks, and you can change all of these buttons to suit your brand and purposes. And then we do have some social links here as well, and then we do have the footer on this page so that people can kind of click around to different things. But you can edit this page the same way that we edited our home page. I'm just going to click the shortcut up here for edit page. And so you can change the image, you can change the text. Here's all of our buttons that you can change, add to, delete, and we have the social icons. We do have the footer showing on this page. In our page settings, this icon up here, as I scroll down, let's see, I know I have it somewhere. Okay, here it is. Disable header and disable footer. You could disable the footer if you didn't want to show it there. Okay, so that is at your disposal, something that you can use instead of having to use a third party. You can control and create your own custom link and profile page. This is something you would pop into your Instagram bio, for example. Okay, so we are going to talk about how to edit your blog posts. And most people who are familiar with WordPress have used it as a blogging platform before, so you might be very familiar with how to edit posts. But this is our blog page and these are our posts. So when I click into this one, New York Fashion Week, this is how it looks, okay? And this is how we have our sidebar set up for this page. And then, you know, we have similar post link here, and this is where people can leave comments, all of that kind of stuff. So let's just go to our back end and we're going to hover over posts. And this is a list of all the posts that we have. For one thing, I could delete this Hello World post. That happens when we install a fresh WordPress. And then we could just go into this New York Fashion Week post and we can make some changes here. So the main things we're going to look at are the featured image, which is this image that appears by default, and it also appears here. So if we wanted to change that, you can just replace it and upload something different. We'll also talk about the categories. So here are my categories, and I can add a new category if I wanted to. I'm not going to do that right now, but this is where I can select the categories that this post belongs to. I am going to show you where to edit your categories as well. In the back end of our website, if we're in posts, and we can click onto categories, and this is where we have all of our categories. So you're probably going to want to change these, delete them, or add new ones, or edit them depending on the content of your website. But now let's go back to editing the post. Okay, so these posts are very generic. There's really not a lot going on here. We have just typed in the title at the top, and then these are just basic paragraphs. These are not even Kadence block, advanced text blocks. They're just Gutenberg paragraphs by default. But a post works just like a page or a widget, so you can add anything in here that you want. You have all of the Kadence blocks, the free Kadence blocks at your disposal. So go ahead and add a Google Maps in here, and we will change it to my favorite, New York City, and then it will update right there. So that's really all you need to know about posts. Go ahead and edit these blog posts and zhuzh them up and add as many Kadence blocks to them as you want. Don't feel like you're restricted to just having, you know, the really basic text content. Okay, so we have pretty much covered everything. There's just a couple more things that I wanted to touch on, and that is literally a couple of special class names that we have in this theme. So let's go to our About page to look at one of these class names. You're going to want to know this one. So this is a fun little section that we've created for the About page, where we have these little hand-drawn circles, you know, circling our choices. So you can just click into these, and these are just text blocks, and you can edit all of these and make your own. But how do they get this little hand-drawn circle around them? So this is done with a custom class, and if I go over to the advanced settings, let me open up the list view so that you can see really where we are in the grand scheme of things. Okay, we're in this whole row, and then we are in a row within a row, so don't get too confused. But here's the section: a night out, iced coffee, early mornings, heels, and then we're on a night out, and we have circled that one. So we put circle-choice in the additional CSS classes. And don't worry about how it's working. That's already coded in for you. But this is the magic class you need to be able to copy and paste to change the answers. So if you wanted iced coffee to be selected instead, you need to put circle choice in there, and voila, it appears. And then any that you just don't want it on, then you would just go to that advanced tab and you would delete that class name. Okay, the second class name that is here for you, by default, all of our H6s are already the script font. And let me open our theme on the front end so we can remember. Most of these, the way it's set up right now, these are all H6s. Let's go to the About page. So we have that as a script. Let's just say we wanted this to be a script. We probably don't, but just in case. All you have to do is we're going to go up here to this. This is our H1. And we're going to go to the Advanced tab, and we're just going to type in script here. And you're not going to see anything happen because it will occur on the front end. But if we go to preview in a new tab, you can see that this has changed into our script font. It doesn't actually look good in all caps that way, but you can edit this text with the block settings. So we could maybe override some of these things, and we will make it so that it has no capitalization at all. Maybe we're going to make it really big, and now we're going to preview it again. And it looks a little bit better, not great. But if you wanted to turn any text into script, that is how you would do it. Just add the script class. Okay, guys, so we have officially finished covering all the main points of how to edit, install, customize your Zaza theme to make this website template your own. And I'm so appreciative of you for making a purchase with Code+Confetti, and I hope that these videos were helpful for you. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me on social media or shoot me a message on Etsy if you have questions about any of the themes or your purchase. And I look forward to seeing what you create.